Hi, everybody. My name's Chrissy, and I am Director of Product Operations here at LovelySkin, and I have the honor of being your moderator this afternoon. Today, we have Jane Iredale hosting this fabulous class for us today on holiday party looks. And before we get started, I have just a couple of housekeeping tasks that I need to take care of. We have about a 45-minute presentation put together for you today, followed with a little extra time left at the end for some question and answers. Speaking of questions, we definitely want you to ask them. We want to hear from you today. And you'll see in your Zoom menu that there is a widget labeled Q&A. If you would please use the Q&A widget to ask any questions that you have about Shawn's process, the products that he's using, or if you have any questions about application tips, go ahead and ask them via the Q&A widget. We have moderators behind the scenes ready to help answer any questions you might have. And we'll also be able to push some of those questions live into the presentation or save them for the question and answer session at the end for Shawn to answer directly. I do want to also let you know that this presentation is being recorded and we'll make it available to everyone shortly after the presentation is over. So now I'd like to jump right into it and introduce our guest of honor today. Today we have Shawn Towne, Global Director of Education and Artistry at Jane Iredale. Shawn's interest in creating beauty began as a teenager growing up in San Antonio, Texas. Since then, his more than 30 years as a licensed esthetician and cosmetologist has given him the opportunity to work in Los Angeles, Miami, New York, as well as travel extensively around the world, gaining experience in editorial, film, television, and high fashion runway makeup, and developing a personal passion for helping mature women achieve a healthy, more youthful appearance with makeup. And I can say, I think he's fabulous at that. With images, mentions, and accredited articles in publications such as Allure, In Style, Town & Country, and Marie Claire, Shawn has become a recognized expert in the beauty industry. And without further ado, I introduce you, Shawn Towne. Take it away, Shawn.
Thank you, Chrissy. Such a joy to be here with all of you this afternoon, and thank you all for tuning in. I'm really excited about today's look because what we're going to do is we're going to focus on holiday, and you know, the holidays are a wonderful time to explore new makeup looks that you might not have done before, or to really play up those colors that you don't get to wear the rest of the year. And I've taken the liberty of prepping Charlie's skin. This is my lovely model, Charlie. She's also my muse and my favorite model. But she's wearing just a little bit of hydration on her skin. I did her beauty prep tinted, or her beauty prep hyaluronic serum as a starting point. And what we're going to do first is we're going to apply some primer to her face. Now, I don't know if all of you use primers on a regular basis, but primer is such an important part of what we do when we're doing our makeup. We always want to use a primer because it's going to give the skin more longevity with the makeup. I'll put about a dime size on the palette there, and that's what I'll use as the basis for the makeup look that I'm doing. I'm also going to use it with a brush rather than just putting it on with my fingers. I like to use a brush to apply this because I get really good results when I blend it out nicely with a brush. It just makes everything go on easier and look smoother. Sometimes when I use my fingers, I can get too much in one place or another. Now, if you're an esthetician, of course, working in a treatment room, that's different because you're used to doing it. But very often, I feel like I get the best results when I apply it with a brush. The other thing that's cool is I'm going to use the same brush to apply the liquid foundation that I'm going to put on her, which is our Hydropure Tinted Serum. And I don't know if any of you have heard of that yet, but it is one of our newest foundation products, and we're getting lots of good attention for it. People love how beautiful it goes onto the skin. So just looking at her with the primer alone, you can see that gives her skin a little bit of luminosity. That's the mica that's in the primer that really does that. It gives it a gorgeous appearance. Any questions so far?
Shawn, can you just remind me, was that the illuminating formula or the brightening formula that you used on her?
Yeah, it was the Smooth Affair Illuminating Glow.
Thank you.
And that's one of my favorites to use. I just love the way that it goes on the skin. I love how gorgeous it is. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pump on some of her Hydropure Tinted Serum. Now, the Hydropure, it looks like liquid minerals, but this is an updated formula that has some really incredible benefits to it. It's got liposome technology that time releases antioxidants and vitamins into the skin. This is not an opaque formula by any means, but it definitely evens out the complexion and makes the skin look really beautiful. And while it's working, it's time releasing goodies into the skin and really helping your skin to hold on to moisture. I think as we go into the winter, it's so important to pay attention to using good hydrating foundations on our skin that are going to help our skin to stay more moist through the course of the day. And yes, Charlie, I'm going to give you this one.
My favorite.
She calls it her bubbles. So that is just the Hydropure by itself. And you can see that looks really beautiful. But again, very sheer. It's not heavy coverage. And then before I do any powder on her, the cool thing at Jane Iredale is you can use creams over powders, powders over creams. It's perfectly acceptable. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a little bit of highlighting before I ever put on her powder. I'm going to use some Circle Delete #1, which is one of our best-selling concealers. It has yellow on one side to eliminate redness. And then there's a light color on the other side that I can use to highlight. Charlie doesn't get a lot of darkness under her eyes, but she definitely gets a little redness. I'm sorry, yes, Chrissy?
Yep. And is that just the flat foundation brush that you're using, or is that a concealer brush?
No, this is the foundation brush. And the reason I'm using this instead of a concealer brush is because I like how it just blends the product out very smoothly. I get a wider application that's a little bit more sheer. You can use either one. Some people prefer to use a concealer brush. Our camouflage brush is very popular, but this I love because it gives such kind of an easy, smooth application. It doesn't look heavy. When you put it on, it blends as it applies, if you will. So that's just around the eyes is the only place that I'm putting that, because that's the only place that Charlie really has any area that we would want to brighten. You can also take that around the nose. Some people have a tendency to get a little red around the nose. And as I apply it, again, I'm not having to really go back in and blend it because the brush is doing it for me. Now she has a nice bright under eye. And then I'm going to go back in with the lighter color that's on there. And I'm going to use that to add some extra light to a couple of key places that I want to pop. Out on the top of the cheekbones, out here. And I don't know how well that's showing up. Oh, very good, right on the camera.
It's very nice. I really, that's kind of a good tip. I like to do some highlight, but I don't necessarily like the shimmer of like a sparkle highlight. And so using that concealer is actually a really good application. I do like that a lot.
Well, it's interesting because there are two ways to highlight. You can definitely do it with a shimmer or a luminous product, but then you're depending on how it's going to reflect light. And if there's any texture in the skin, that can sometimes bring out things that you don't want. While using light, an actual physically lighter color is great because you're creating the appearance of a highlight in the area exactly where you want it to be. So I'm taking the light on her chin, down the center of her nose. I'll also take a little here around the mouth, in the corners of the mouth. Any area that we want to elevate or push forward, we add light. Any area that we want to recess or push back, we add dark. So you can see the difference that that makes just by itself is quite extraordinary. Now I'm going to work in layers today on Charlie, gradually doing a little bit more intense as I go. But this is the base of her foundation, and you can see that alone looks quite gorgeous on her. Turn this way for me and back. We can really see how nicely the light is working on her skin. All right. Now I'm going to go back in with some contour. And I'm going to do wet contour, and then I'm going to do dry contour. In other words, I'm going to use a cream to contour her first. And then I'll probably go back in and do a powder to contour as well. These are our new Glow Time bronzer sticks. We're getting such great responses on them. People love how easy they are to use and how easily they blend into the skin. I'm going to take one under her cheekbone. I'm going to take it up in her temples, and I'm going to take it along her jawline here. And then I'm just going to go back in and tap and blend.
And what shade are you using on Charlie today?
I'm using the color Sizzle, which is the lightest of the bronzers. Charlie has pretty light skin, so I definitely don't want to go too dark with the color. But you can see as I blend it out, it just smoothly and seamlessly works onto the skin. It's got a wonderful ingredient deck. There's jojoba oil in it, which is great for hydration in the winter. It also has coconut oil, which is going to help to give a smooth glide when you're putting it onto the skin. The base of it is also created from something called Saracen wax, which has a higher melting point than things like beeswax, so it won't come off as easily. It stays on very well.
And is there a specific reason why you chose application with the fingertips versus a brush for this product?
That's a good question. Let me show you the same application. I'll take it again under the cheekbones, up in the temples, and along the jawline. Okay. I can do it just as easily with my dome brush and get somewhat similar results. It's a matter of taste. So if you're more comfortable using a brush, you can absolutely do a brush and get just as good of results. Or you can use your fingers and get good results as well. I find that the brush really shears the product out a little bit more, while the fingers leave a little bit more specific of an application.
We have a question that came in from Shannon, and she's asking how you can prevent under eye concealer from enhancing wrinkles around the eyes.
That's the $56 million question. That's the one everybody loves. So I'll tell you now, and I don't want to sound like I'm breaking bad news to you. Any concealer, no matter how good it is, will crease around the eyes because the skin around your eyes is constantly moving. As we smile and make expressions, little bits of product will always conglomerate into fine lines. There's no way to keep that from happening. Makeup requires maintenance. So when you put your concealer on, it'll look good at first, and then finish your makeup. And then before you leave, you're going to go back in, you're going to tap out your under eye. Just tap gently to make it look smooth again. And then you're going to be conscious of that through the day in the same way that you would touch up your lipstick or reapply, maybe dusting on a little powder. You're also going to remember to touch up your under eyes, just tapping them out throughout the day in the same way that you would any other makeup product that requires maintenance. And that's how you're going to get the best results. Let me see how that looks. Oh, that looks really pretty on you. How does your skin feel? Nice?
Yeah, very moist.
Excellent. Now we've done the creamy products on the skin, and now we're going to go back in with some powder products. I'm going to put her PurePressed Base on at this point. It's perfectly acceptable to put PurePressed Base over the top of things like concealer, bronzer, even if you want to, or you can use it underneath and put the cream blush, cream bronzer, concealer right on top of PurePressed Base. And because there's no talc in PurePressed Base, it won't affect it. It'll look perfectly good. It won't gum up or get cakey like talc-based powders do when they hit a cream. The other good thing is that, you know, our cream products have no mineral oil or petroleum in them, which makes it a lot easier for them to mix with the mineral powders because you're not having to worry about it getting gummy like mineral oil and petroleum can have a tendency to do. Lift up for me. I'm taking some onto the neck as well.
And what shade is Charlie in PurePressed Base?
She is, today I'm putting natural on her, but I'll tell you, she could do satin, she could do radiant. She can, even in the summertime, sometimes I put suntan on her when she's going somewhere and she wants to have a little bit of extra coverage. But it works really well on her. Most people can wear more PurePressed Base shades than they think they can. I'll tell you now, I can wear Golden Glow, Riviera. I love wearing a variety of colors. It typically goes a little lighter in the winter, darker in the summer. And there's the PurePressed Base. So you can see her skin, look up at the ceiling, is very perfect. And don't be afraid to put the PurePressed Base right up under the eyes. Remember, that'll give a nice extra coat of coverage over and above the concealer. Now, who can tell me what my next step is after I do the PurePressed Base? The next step that we always do whenever we put on our PurePressed Base is we always spritz with our hydration spray. I'm going to use our Calming Lavender, which is the newest hydration spray. Inhale, hold your breath. And I'm very generous with the product. I'm never afraid to use a lot of hydration spray. That melds the makeup to the skin and gives it a long-lasting finish. It's a great way to ensure the longevity of your complexion and make it stay all day long. And that, can you smell the lavender?
My favorite.
Yeah, it's really lovely. So she's got a perfect complexion and all the cream products are now done. So now I'm going to go into some powder products. Again, this is just kind of a more traditional application method, doing powders first or doing creams first and then powders. But remember that you can do it in other orders if you'd like to. This is our new Finishing Touches palette that we've launched for holiday. And I'm so excited to use this on Charlie. And yes, I'm giving you this. And it has a bronzer, 2 different shades of bronzers, blush, 2 different shades, and highlighters, 2 different shades. And I'm not just going to use this for her complexion. I'm also going to use a little bit of this on her eyes. So we're going to start with the bronzer. And I'm going to take the bronzer. I like to use my chisel powder brush. I get a nice application that way and go down the bronzer, starting with the deeper, working it into the lighter. I just turn the brush over, load the brush up really well. And I'm going to take this product around the outer portions of her face, up in the hairline, kind of echoing what I did with the cream bronzer, but really keeping this more dispersed. It's not as intense of a product as the cream bronzer, so I can be a little bit more liberal in my application. But you can see how that blends everything nicely. I love this product also because what it does is it gives you the ability to, if you've done a cream contour, to kind of soften the lines of what you've created and make it look even more natural. I take it all the way out to the ear and under the jaw, down onto the neck. We have a tendency to get very light on the neck, so it's a great idea to take some bronzer down there too. But you can see, even in the hairline, how softly that just shapes her face. Take a little bit more right in here. Right there. And then the next color that's in there is the blush color. I'm going to use that with my fan brush. And I'm going to pick up the product. And I'm going to put the blush out on the top of the cheekbone out here, even close to the eyes. Right where her temple and cheekbone merge, that's my placement for the blush on her. I know for the longest time we were seeing blush kind of down here in the apple of the cheek. But what we're seeing now is that blush is migrating back up onto the top of the cheek to create a more lifted look like we did back in the 70s. Also, this blush has a lot of luminosity to it, so I think it's a fun color to use up in that area.
So what's the
And
difference or
again, I'm taking it
what's
on
the
the cheeks all the way up into the temples. And
what's
blend.
what's the difference or benefit to using a fan brush versus a traditional
And I
fuller
can go
brush?
back in and just tap. And her eyeshadows are actually going to merge with the blush color. Now there's also, you can see that color beautiful on each side. Turn this way and then back this way. There's also a good amount of shimmer that's in the bottom color, and I can go back in and concentrate that shimmer color right on top of it to give her cheeks a little bit of fire. And of course, the highlighter color is my favorite because that really sets everything on fire. I'll go back in and overlap it all with the luminous gold.
Shawn,
Yes.
what is the benefit or difference using a fan brush to
I'm sorry,
apply?
I think your sound is cut out.
Oh my goodness. Can you hear me now?
Chrissy, I don't think I can hear you. Make sure it's not mine. Hold on. Chrissy, try it again.
Can you hear me, Shawn?
Make sure she didn't mute.
No, I think that it's sound coming from the speaker.
No worries. I'll just try and ask again later. I'll save the question for the end.
So I'm going to go ahead and carry on this application. And Chrissy, I'm going to see if you can get your sound back, or if I can't hear you. Hold on, let me just check and see. All right. If there's a moderator that can tell me if we can hear, just let me know. Oh. Oh, goodness. Okay, so I can't hear Chrissy anymore. Unfortunately, my sound has gone out. I'm going to keep going, and I'll let you guys message me if there is something that I need to answer. I'm just going to turn my phone on, and I'll have Emma text me. Will you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Hold on
Sure.
to this. What do we recommend for a replacement to taupe or in the single eyeshadow?
Single shadow.
The thing that I'm sorry, that is not from Emma. That's from Emma.
We'll wait till it comes in.
Please forgive me, guys. I'm just okay. You can hear me.
Mhm.
All right. I'm not going to be able to get my audio to come back on, so I'm going to continue working. I saw a note that said that the corner of Charlie's eyes look a little dented. Don't worry about that yet, because we're not finished with the look. So we've added the color here, but we're going to go back in with light when we're done. So now we've sculpted out her cheeks and we've added color to them. I'm going to go in now and I'm going to add some color to her eyes. For her eye shadows, we're going to use the same Sizzle cream blush stick that we used on her cheeks as the base for her eyeshadows, because I'm going to give Charlie a smoky eye. And I want her to be able to see it. Beautiful. And I'm applying this with my fingers so that I can get a nice, smooth application all over the eyelid. This is going to be something that her eyeshadows can adhere to. And it also takes the depth of her eyes down to the color of the shadow. I'm also going to go in, before we do any actual eyeshadows, I'm going to go back into the finishing touches kit, and I'm going to take that bronze color and I'm going to apply it to the outer corners of her eyes, working it into the eyelid and across the crease just a bit. It makes a beautiful eyeshadow color. And then when we pull it out, it extends, mixing with the bronzer that we've taken into her temples. All in the same direction. Open. Good, good. Other side. So if there are questions, please feel free to text me the questions, Emma, so that I can read the text messages and send you the answers. Darker on the outer corners, blending it out into the temples.
Comes a question.
Very good. I'm also going to take that same color along her lower lashes. Look up at the ceiling. Completely surrounding her eye with that bronzer color. Underneath and blending it out. I'm not just going to take it close to the lash line. I'm going to smudge it so that it hollows out the entire socket of her eye. And now you can see, as it's blending to the outer eye area, that there's a little bit more distinction to the look. Under the entire eye. And I'm using my smudge brush to get that color on there. It's a great way to get really close to the lash line and get a nice intense wash of color. Look up the ceiling. Very good. So now her eyes are completely surrounded by that bronze tone. And I'm going to go into my actual eyeshadow kit. This is one of our top selling eyeshadow kits. It's called Date Night. And all of these colors are deep. They're also all matte colors, which I highly recommend for people that have mature skin or experienced skin, I like to call it. If there's any concern of texture or wrinkles around the eyes, using a more matte shadow will ensure that those won't be emphasized, but rather that they'll be minimized. I'm going to go in with the burgundy color that's in the center. That color is called Merlot. And I'm going to take the Merlot all over the outer eye up to the crease. I'll also take it past the crease towards the temple. And as you can see, the color is nice and intense. I'll take it on the lid and blend it about 3/4 of the way in. Open. Really darkening her eyelid. Lots of nice intensity. On the lid, blending it up towards the temple. And about 3/4 of the way in. Open. Very nice. Again, echoing what I've done on the top, on the bottom. Okay. Look up at the ceiling. And along the lash line, just on the outer corners is where I'm putting that darkest color there. And as I'm working it there, you can see that it's really kind of changing the shape of her eye, giving it a nice lifted edge, really rich out there. And then I'll pull a little bit of it in.
And what brush did you just use?
The smudge brush again. The closer we get to the outer corner of the eye, the darker color, the darker the color gets. The last color that's in there that I'm going to use is the ebony, the black. Now, this is a really intense color. If you really want to control how much of it you're getting, use the back of your hand and tap off any excess, lay down, look down. And that will give you the ability to ensure that you don't get fallout or too much product in the outer corner of the eye. Right there in the corner. Just at the outer edge of the lid. Very nice. Look up at the ceiling. And on the outer edge, right there. You can see now her eyes are really popping. Now, my most important rule, and any of you who have seen me do makeup before, you know this, that you can't do dark without adding some light. So this is a color called French Vanilla that I love using. It's a completely matte color. Look down at the floor, but keep your eyes open. Perfect. All on the inner corner of her eye. I'm going to apply the French Vanilla and work it across the lid. Look down. Taking it even onto the side of the nose just a bit to give the illusion that the eye is stretching even further in than it is. Now, I can do this on Charlie because she has pretty far set eyes. It really makes them look even more wide set, more open. Look up at the ceiling. I'll take it as well underneath the eye. It's nice because it's like Adobe Photoshop in that you can use it to take out any recesses and make things go even higher up than they originally were. creating the illusion of volume exactly where you want it. And again, this is not her eye that I'm working on. This is actually her cheek. But by popping a little of it under there, it gives a fun lifted effect. Really changing the entire shape of the eye. Open, look up at the ceiling. And now she's got a nice intensity with her shadows. I'm going to go back into my finishing touches kit, and I'm going to get some of that shimmering gold that's there. Lay your eye down. And I'm going to tap some of that shimmering gold right over the top of the dark color that's on her lid to create a little bit more fire. Lots of fun. So you see it when she blinks, like a little flash of light every time she opens and closes. On the inner rim of her eye, I'm going to go back in with some dark color. There we go. Did we get another text message?
No, we just
Very good.
lost it.
And look up at the ceiling. I'm going to go on the water line with our black. And, you know, one of the beautiful things about Jane Iredale eye pencils is that they're safe enough that you can use them on the water line and never have to worry about it looking heavy or overdone. You never have to worry about them irritating the eyes either, because they're not made with harsh chemicals. So definitely great for creating a really nice smoky eye. Look down for me. Yes.
Can you please share tips for hooded eye application?
Yes. So if the eye is hooded, then you're not going to want to focus on the crease at all. The application that I'm doing right now is actually great for a hooded eye, because you'll notice I haven't put really a lot of color in her crease. The main amount of color is at the outer corners of the eyes, pulling it outwards this way. If the eye is hooded, then that means the crease is not visible. The skin comes all the way to the edge of the lash line. So if we want to minimize the appearance of that, go darker on the outer eye, lighter on the inner eye, but don't focus on the crease at all. That's your best bet. Close gently. I'm also going to take this pencil, same basic black pencil, just at the outer edge and corner of her eye, and create a little wedge of color right there, lifting, kind of overlapping where the shadow was that I originally placed there, but just making it a bit more intense. Open. Gorgeous. Now, right now, go to the ceiling. Just gonna brush off. Right now, strong brows and a variety of different kinds of brows are on trend. I'm gonna do her brows in a second, and I wanna just show you an option that I think would be really good. This is our new shaping pencil. I love it because instead of having to go and draw individual hairs, I can just pull this across Charlie's brow, and it makes a perfectly shaped brow without a lot of work. You can just pull it across, and it deposits color both into the skin and into the hairs of the brows simultaneously. Again, I'm just going to pull it across and drag it gently on the skin. And as I do, you'll see it just lays down the perfect amount of color. Not too dark, not too light, leaving behind a well-shaped brow for her. It's such an easy tool to use. And then there's a spoolie at the other end, of course, to blend if I want to. I'll go back in with some of my French vanilla to sharpen the edge of the brow. And I'm going to use my camouflage brush because it's a very tight brush. There's no rule that says you can't use a camouflage brush with an eyeshadow. It has a nice edge to it, so it creates a very sharp line right up under the brow, and then I can go back in and blend. Look at that lift. Please explain the difference between the precision brows and the pencils and the shaping pencils. Yes, I can. So the shaping pencil is more for filling in the brow and creating a bolder brow, while the precision pencils are more for delicate work. The precision pencil I can use when I want to create a sharp underline to the brow, like so. Or if I want to draw individual hairs on the brow. Let me do this above the brow as well here. You can see the tools work well in conjunction with one another. See, that takes it to the next level. Watch again. Underneath the brow, I'm going with the precision pencil because it's a smaller lead. I can get a smaller, tighter line. And then above the brow out here at the arch, I'm making a little bit sharper of a line as well. See, much more dramatic. And again, I can use it to draw individual hairs on the eye if I want to. Now, Charlie already has a filled in brow, so I'm not going to do that on her. We also have a gel that's great because it comes in all of the exact shades that the pencils come in. So you can use the gel first and then go back in and touch up with the precision pencil. It's an excellent combination. So let's do some lashes on her. I wanted so badly to put false lashes on Charlie, but she's like, no, I can't take it today. So I am going to do our Beyond Lash Mascara, which is my favorite formula. Oh my goodness, I love this stuff.
I love it.
It really works well. It's dark, it's inky. It's also got a great ingredient deck of wonderfully beneficial ingredients for the lashes. So look at me right in my eyes. And look that way, just with your eyes. Perfect. And I'm putting the mascara on the top lashes, making them nice and dramatic. I always put a business card behind the lashes when I'm working because it gives me more control. Let's do one more coat. I think would look really, really pretty. Nice and dramatic. Oh yeah, that's even better. Charlie has some pretty good lashes naturally. So funny because everybody's doing the lash extensions right now, and some of them look really good. But I think a good mascara makes all the difference in the world. Beautiful. All right, let's talk about lips. Charlie is not afraid to wear a bold lip. And for the holidays, I think it's never a more appropriate occasion than to wear a red lip. So I'm going to do some of our top selling red Beyond Matte Lip Stain. It's called Longing. And I'm going to put it on first. And then we'll think about going back into the lip with a liner when we're done. I always like to start with the stain and then line after so that I can get exactly what I'm looking for. Does it? And I put the stain on thin, and then I'll go back into it with another layer if I want to close. Beautiful. Look at me. Beautiful. Such a pretty color on you. Let me go right here in the middle. Make sure that I have a nice full bottom lip. This is also a great stain if you want to go outside your natural lip line and make them look fuller, because it's matte. It's not gonna look overdone. You can really go down further and it won't come off as easily as some do. Beautiful. That looks striking on you, Charlie.
Yeah. Love that color.
Yeah, it's so gorgeous on you. So that opens, I think, the look to a finish. We could gloss over the center of it. We could line it with just a little bit. If I was going to line it, I would probably do it with berry liner, which is very kind of a soft color that's a little bit deeper, just to give it a bit of intensity. And I'll do it in the outer corners more than I would in the center. A nice ombre lip. Now, trying to think of a way that I can answer questions live, and I'm seriously thinking about calling into this, seeing if it'll work. So let's see if that'll work. Hold on just a second. We are. Okay, very good. So take a look and let us know your questions. Please email them in. We'll be happy to answer them. Or go to LovelySkin's website, and we're going to have the video at a later date for you to watch. Thank you so much, Charlie, for joining us. You look absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
I hope that everybody enjoyed the presentation today. I hope you all have a fabulous afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Thank you, Shawn. As Shawn mentioned, if you have any questions for us about Jane Iredale makeup or today's look, go ahead and send us an email, customercare@lovelyskin.com. We really appreciate you joining us today, and we hope you all have a happy holidays. Thank you.